Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're gonna be reacting to.
Why US airports are so bad?
What do you think?
I don't think they're bad at all. I feel like the US, out of all the airports I've been, I feel like they're the best.
From like what I was impressed with is the little malls, the restaurants that are there. Like I feel like you could just go to the airport just for the restaurants there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're bad at all. I mean,
Uh,
to be fair, there's a lot of them, so I'm sure
mm,
there's some bad ones, but the major ones, I feel like they're pretty good.
yeah,
But let's see what they
this
say.
one looks pretty.
Singapore's Changi Airport.
I mean, I guess,
Wow.
yeah, Singapore airport, I've never been, but I've only been to like European airports. Usually they're like
Mhm.
very small, tiny, compared to like big American airports. Nah.
Is considered by many travelers to be the best in the world. Have a
This is
long layover, stop
beautiful.
by the Butterfly Garden, or catch a Disney film at the
Wow.
airport's movie theater.
At the
Look
airport.
at Tarzan.
That's
Okay,
impressive.
fair enough. America don't have none of
That's
that.
impressive.
So if that's the standard to be a good
Okay, then
airport,
we
then
suck.
yes, we
We
suck.
suck.
Yeah.
Come on
Mhm.
airport for a few hours. For about $50, travelers can swim laps in a 25-meter indoor swimming
Wow.
pool or work out in a fully equipped gym.
Why?
Traveling during
Wow.
Christmas,
Why?
each year Munich's airport hosts a pop-up holiday market, complete with an ice skating rink, a microbrewery, and 450 real Christmas trees. And then there's LaGuardia Airport in New York
To
City.
me, I wonder because if it would create kind of like a safety concern, because I would think if you're at the airport, you want to see everyone going to the airport that has someplace to go, not hanging around, waiting for stuff to happen.
I think this is for people that have layovers. I don't think you can enter that
What?
area just to hang around. I do think
Oh,
you need like a ticket to,
do you need a ticket to enter?
yeah, like an airplane ticket to enter. Yeah.
Layovers that bad?
Well, some can be, yeah. Some layovers can be like 24 hours or whatever, yeah. I mean, at that point, I guess you go to a hotel though, but yeah.
The 1950s and 60s have often been described as the golden age of flying. Traveling by air meant three-piece suits for men, high heels for women, lavish meals, and lots of legroom. Today,
Yes.
at U.S. airports, passengers are forced to wait in long security lanes and then line up for fast food before boarding overcrowded airplanes with no free meals. So why are U.S. airports so cash-strapped
And they said
compared to
the
their
fashion
international
has been
counterparts?
declining at the airport. That people, when they go to the airport, they come in their pajamas, sleepers.
Yeah, because it's comfortable.
Yeah, but it's not appropriate for the airport.
It is appropriate. It's comfortable clothes. Why do you want to be in
Mm-mm.
uncomfortable clothes for
No, not
24 hours?
uncomfortable clothes, but it used to be the it used to be the occasion to dress up to go to the airport.
Well, yeah, because it used to be like only rich can fly. Now everybody can fly, so it's no longer like a fancy occasion. It's
They
just a
do.
means of travel.
The staff say they do appreciate when people come dressed nicely for the airport. They appreciate
They
that.
appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Airports in the U.S. started to take shape in the early 1920s. At the time, passenger service was virtually non-existent, and airlines were flying mostly mail.
While a few airfields were built before World War I, airport construction really began in the United States when
For the
post
airport,
office
I prefer to serve fashion.
began to experiment with carrying the mail by air. They needed places to land.
During the Great Depression, with big improvements in technology, passenger service suddenly took off.
I think it also depends how big of an event is for you to fly. Like if you fly like once in a blue moon, like for example us, what last time we flown was what 2013, 2014?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's over a decade ago. So for us, if we were to fly again now, okay, it's like it's a big deal,
Speak for
right?
yourself. Every time I
Okay.
wake up, it's a big deal.
Okay, yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, if we were to
I
fly,
got out of bed.
you
It's a big
fly
deal.
like once a decade, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you dress up nicer. But for people that commute to travel, they fly every week, it's just like, okay, whatever. I just got to get
No.
over it. It's just a means of transport. You don't,
I think
it's
to
like
each
taking a
their
bus.
own. Hmm.
In 1930, America's airlines carried about 6,000 travelers. By 1938, that number soared to 1.2 million. Flying was loud, cold, and only business travelers or the wealthy could afford it.
Most of the passengers during the 1930s were business people, and they understood that time is money. As aviation grew, as new airplanes came in, they understood that this could move them faster, but also could move financial instruments faster.
By 1940, modern airports started to evolve. Planes got bigger, grass gave way to pavement, and terminal buildings grew, from simple structures that were small and dingy to Art Deco buildings designed by architects. With massive amount of public financing, America was well into the jet age. By 2019, thanks in large part to government cash, the U.S. has more than
This was made in 2019. Yeah, 5 years ago. Okay.
This video? Oh.
19,000 airports. For the most part, airports in the US are publicly owned and operated by either a city, a county, a state, or in some cases, a public authority. There are thousands of airports, big and small, but about 500 are considered public use commercial airports. In its latest ranking of the most profitable airports in the US, the American City Business Journal said the top 5 airports by revenue were JFK, Newark, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Miami.
MIA in Chicago O'Hare is not there? Well, that's interesting.
I
Every
guess the
airport has
appeal
its
to
own
go to
model for how it
Chicago
brings in
is just
cash.
not there, or
It's
people just
just
don't want to do the layover over there.
Chicago is a
Chicago.
very connecting state, because like a lot, like if you're from Europe, you're flying in, off a lot of flights go to Chicago and then distribute to the rest of the country. I feel like from Europe, the two destinations is either Chicago or New York, and then you fly into one of those, and then you fly to wherever else you need to.
Cash. Revenue is also dependent on a whole lot of factors outside of an airport's control, including airline routes, passenger flows, plus local and international regulations. But generally speaking, airport income in the US
Zagreb.
can be boiled down to 3 categories: aeronautical operating revenue, non-aeronautical operating revenue, and non-operating revenue. That first category pulls in the most cash. Airports in the US make most of their money from the airlines, and that revenue is everything from landing fees to terminal rents to fuel sales. In 2016, the most recent year the FAA made this data publicly available, US airports collected revenue of $11.3 billion.
No, interesting. They said like fuel sales. So can the jets fill up something somewhere else, not in the airport, or bring their own fuel? They have to. There's no choice.
From the airlines, including landing fees of $3.7 billion, terminal rents of $5 billion, and cargo and hangar rentals of $661 million. Because they are government owned
Wow.
and receive taxpayer subsidies, airports try to keep costs low.
Airport revenue streams are really based historically on minimizing costs for the airlines. And that kind of harkens back to the pre-1978 days when the airlines were regulated by the government. As a result, the airports are run in this kind of cost recovery framework where they collect revenues from various sources.
Non-aeronautical revenue brought in 35% of all income for airports across the U.S. For
That's
many
parking?
airports, the biggest non-airline revenue is from parking. In 2016, U.S. airports collected $5.8
Parking is
billion
expensive
from
as
parking
fuck,
and rental
yeah.
cars.
Parking is a big way that airports can earn money. And so you can see why some airports might be a little reluctant to have, say, mass transit, because if people are coming out there on mass transit, they aren't parking their cars.
We're in an unsettled period in terms of how people are going to choose to access the airport. Ride sharing has been growing very fast. There's
Yeah,
a
you
debate
can't
about
get an Uber at the airport.
Why not?
Only taxis.
You couldn't schedule an Uber for an airport?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's illegal?
I think you can't schedule one to pick you up at the airport.
What if you walk a little bit away? I think you could.
Then you
right?
could.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, because it would be hard for a Uber driver to find you in the airport.
But even like for like what in terms of contract deals with the taxi drivers.
Yeah, the beef with taxi driver versus Uber driver has been ongoing for a minute. I don't know the details. Maybe there's actually a video covering that, because that's a big deal. Yeah.
autonomous vehicles.
Food and beverage operations is another big source of income, pulling in $1.5 billion across all airports in 2016. And then there's non-operating revenue, which includes
You know
grants
what's
from the government.
crazy is the prices of food at the airport jump significantly because we're at the airport.
You don't have options. Beggars can be choosers. You need to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rent and
yeah.
interest earned on surplus cash when airports invest
Like
in
even
things
like
like
the
bonds.
standard, like for example, like Burger King.
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
The biggest source of income within this category is the passenger facility charge that goes to the upkeep and maintenance of the airport. It accounted for 48% of all non-operating revenue. U.S. airports, particularly smaller ones, also rely heavily on funding from the government. In 2018, the Airport Improvement Program gave out over $3 billion to more than 1,600 airports. The Airport Improvement Program supports the runways, taxiways, and overall quality and health of airports.
The runway.
Despite America's capitalist-driven economy, it's actually Europe that has taken the lead on privatizing its airports. In the 1980s and 90s, deregulation and an increase in demand for air travel, along with a scarcity of public funds, forced many airports worldwide to seek out some form of privatization. Starting with the UK airports in the mid-1980s, privatization is now widespread across Europe. In 2018, more than 50% of European airports had some form of private ownership.
Many of the European airports are run by private entities that are looking to maximize shareholder return and gain a profit. In the United States, there is no profit motive. The European airports have found better ways to extract higher dollar amount from their passengers.
In 19
I mean, like, if there's no profit motive in the States, so he's claiming, then why the fuck the food is so expensive? There should be like regular price, shouldn't it? There's no profit motive, so it's whatever. Should be regular price.
In 1996, Congress created the Airport Privatization Pilot Program, allowing for experimentation with public-private partnerships at a limited number of airports. But it wasn't until the mid-2010s that privatization really started to gain momentum in the U.S.
Oh, so I guess historically there wasn't privatization. Then at our time, and we trial there is. Okay.
In the face of decaying infrastructure, a handful of U.S. airports have started to abandon the public model and turn to private money to fund billion-dollar projects. Just take LaGuardia. In numerous customer surveys, LaGuardia Airport has consistently ranked the worst in the U.S. In 2018, 28% of LaGuardia's flights were delayed, placing it second to last in the ranking of America's largest airports, according to the Department of Transportation.
LaGuardia Airport was very crowded. It had low ceilings. The furniture was very tired. After 9/11, where you had to put in all these security lines, you would have lines everywhere.
In 2016, New York State and the Port Authority partnered with Delta Airlines and LaGuardia Gateway Partners to completely rebuild the airport. The airport is now getting an $8 billion overhaul. The public-private partnership model has become more of a trend at airports around the world, according to the World Bank.
Public-private partnerships are a very, very important part of the planning, I would say, of most airports. The government has limited funds.
LaGuardia Gateway Partners, the group that will finance, construct, and operate Terminal B, said the redevelopment, expected to be finished by 2022, will provide a host of new services to passengers, including restaurants like Shake Shack, La Chula, and stores like FAO Schwartz.
We've introduced the shops, the amenities, larger hold rooms, higher ceilings, lots of natural light. Behind me is a park area with trees.
There are many things that private enterprise does much better than public agencies. And one of them, we believe, is actually operate both the commercial and the operational side of an airport.
And more airports across the U.S. are also on the way to getting massive multi-billion-dollar makeovers, thanks to cash from private companies. New York's JFK Airport is planning to spend $13 billion, including $12 billion in private funding for improvements, including 2 new international
I wonder to
terminals.
know what's the progress since like 5 years later.
Well, I'm assuming they built it because it said by 2022 it was supposed to be done. So must have built it by now.
Los Angeles Airport is spending $14 billion on a giant expansion.
But so far, I don't really know if it's answering the question why are U.S. airports so bad.
Because they're not privatized.
So that's the answer because they're not privatized.
Well, I was hoping to
integrated-
see some other like really nice airports.
Right, because to me, to make such a claim, U.S. airports are bad, period, I would like to see a comparison with others.
Because New
not-
York, okay, is bad, but Miami slays.
because I feel like obviously
The
each
one
airport
in
is
Nevada slayed too.
each airport is different, so you can't compare. Say
Mm-hmm.
American versus Singaporean or Asian or European, but
But if New York is the standard, whoosh,
but the ones I've been to, I feel like here in the States, airports are better than Europe for the most part.
Express Solutions was selected to design, build,
And now I'm not saying Europeans were bad. They weren't bad. They were just smaller. So it's a little. There's benefit to that, to smaller airports. If you have a
Right.
short layover, for example, 45 minutes layover in Europe, no problem. Here, 45 minutes. If it's a big airport like Chicago or New York, I'm on the run.
You have to run?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean
It's
you
a
have to
big ass
run?
airport. You land on one side, then you have to get to the other. So you run to the train, run. Because you have to get like, I think 30 minutes before to board.
Uh-huh.
So you'll realistically have like, and especially if, hopefully the flight is not late. So
That's why
it's
they have those belts that can help
right,
you move.
yeah. Well, and you can run on them too. So
Mhm.
no, like in that is a downside for sure. Like in European, because they are smaller airports, like the layover time, everything is a little closer together. So, it's
I guess
easier
I'm
to
gonna be late.
it's easier to
I'm gonna be late.
to do the layovers.
and operate the terminal's passenger train. The automated people mover is LAX's first public-private partnership project. Since 2000, U.S. airports have had to withstand a number of critical events that have had a major impact on their bottom line. Following the September 11th attacks, for the first time since World War II, the number of airline passengers declined for 2 consecutive years. Additional security at U.S. airports has placed an even greater burden on airport operations.
This pushed a lot of capital requirements onto the airports, so they had to take on a lot of debt in order to reconfigure their terminals.
The financial crisis that started in 2007 was another blow to airports. In 2008, air passenger traffic dropped again at airports around the country.
What I think was a larger
Well,
Imagine,
that was a
um,
recession.
Imagine for 2020.
Yeah, like I mean, it's a recession. Yeah, people started saving money.
impact was a slow recovery
It has nothing to do with the airports. It has to do with economic times.
following the Great Recession. In historical recessions, there's been a pretty quick bump back in terms of passenger traffic increasing once the recession was over. Here we saw a multi-year period of a malaise with low growth.
I wonder what were the ticket
1%
prices
to less
during
than 1%.
COVID.
And that
No
really
idea.
started to challenge airport finances.
Another factor dragging down profit margins for some of the country's medium to smaller size airports, there are fewer airlines flying today than there were in 2009. In the 10 years of 2018, the airline industry has experienced multiple mergers and acquisitions. In 2008, Northwest Airlines merged with Delta Airlines. In 2010, Continental Airlines merged with United Airlines. And in 2013, U.S. Airways and American Airlines parent AMR merged. That was good news for a few larger hub airports, but many smaller airports were forced to deal with the economic fallout. A hub airport has a large number of connecting flights from one dominating airline.
The mergers that have been happening and the shrinkage from 10 or 12 major airlines in this country down to what, 3, 4? That's been a huge challenge. Airports can really grow. Look at Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, those that have maintained hubs, they're dealing with growth. Airports that had been hubs, they've had to deal with decline.
According to Airports Council International, industry consolidation had a big impact on several regional airports, including Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Memphis, and Cleveland.
If part of a business is severed and you have a lack of cash flow, that money is not flowing into an airport, you're going to suffer. That means restaurants close down. That means employees get laid off. That means revenue is not coming into that airport.
While flying is generally cheaper and safer than it's ever been, an increase in travelers will put massive pressure on existing airport infrastructure. U.S. airlines and foreign airlines serving the U.S. carried about 1 billion passengers in 2018, up 5% from the previous year, according to the Bureau of Transportation.
Millions of people go through LaGuardia just for everyday maintenance and wear and tear, to keep the floors clean, to keep the lights on. That takes a lot of money.
And U.S. airports are getting older, according to the Airports Council International. They say airports will need over $100 billion in infrastructure spending over the next 5 years.
A useful time period for an airport to exist is between 25 and 30 years before it becomes non-competitive. Right now, the average age of a terminal in the United States is a little over 40 years, so we're way beyond the international number.
While airports in the U.S. have shown signs
That is an interesting point. They need to renovate it. To renovate, you kind of have to shut down, part of it, at least one terminal or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a challenge. I don't know. It's been 5 years since the video, so I wonder what's been done. But that is a challenge to renovate an airport, because you can't shut the whole thing down.
signs of improvement in recent years, additional passengers, tightening budgets, and growing competition will force cash-strapped airports to seek out new sources of financing to compete on the world stage.
Oh, I was looking forward to see other airports.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the video did because I didn't get that they are bad to begin with. So to answer,
They just need improvement.
answer
They
a
need work
question
done.
why without even establishing the fact that they are bad. Because like if you're looking at the Singaporean ones, I think there was Kuwait. Yeah, if you're looking at those, like the rich, okay, yeah, of course they're bad. But if you look at an average world airport, I think they're regular. I don't think they're bad. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.